So hey everyone, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with me. We got the introduction, so I'm Max, here to talk to you about augmented reality and Snapchat and the camera. I thought that video was great as a quick little icebreaker to see how augmented reality is, and it's sometimes silly and fun like that, or it can be really advanced and immersive. So we'll look at that during the presentation. My point here today is to go through and give you sort of a status of where augmented reality is, give you a status of Snapchat, and then really drive to you and try to explain what we saw in those few first texts there of why the camera is the next big thing in advertising. So hopefully by the end of this, we'll go through some insights and some data points that can inspire you and help you understand why we think this is the next big thing in advertising. So not on purpose, but I wanted to start by taking a look at the history of advertising. So I love the room. I love that the room kind of worked out with that, with this slide here, because we kind of have a much better visual than the slide here throughout the room that takes us and helps us see that advertising has come a long way. So from even ancient Egypt that we can see here, my slide doesn't go that far back, but from print and radio and TV, that advertising has really come a long way. And 3 years ago, I would be here on a stage and talking to you guys about stories and vertical video, but I'm not here to talk about that today. I'm here to talk about what's next. What's next after that? And obviously, the topic of the presentation. So in my opinion, what we think is next is the camera. So we'll go through why that is. And before we do that, I wanted to take another step back at a quick timeline of ad formats and how they've evolved over time. So obviously we know these traditional formats, print and TV. So quick history lesson, not going to go too deep. Again, great visuals in the back that will do a better justice. So first print ad dated 1704, first TV commercial dated 1941, and then you fast forward 200 years, and we have digital and desktop and mobile. And we've introduced a lot of great technology for measurement, for targeting. But if you think about the formats themselves, about the actual creatives, all that we did in this 200 years is shrink the creatives. And we took the print ad square creative, and we shrunk it to a display ad on desktop and mobile. We took that horizontal TV ad that is long form, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and we shrunk it to fit it into a desktop or a computer. So think about how different the phones are and how that doesn't really make sense, right? To just take these formats and shrink them into a phone. The phones are extremely powerful. We all have these devices in our pockets that can do so much more. They have so many more features. They're connected to the internet. We use them all the time. They have different shapes. They're obviously vertical. They have cameras. They have all these amazing features. So we really thought when we started advertising that we needed to approach this differently. That we weren't just going to take formats and shrink them and put them into Snapchat, but that we were really going to take a step back and think about what would be a good format for this new device that all of us use every day. And that's where augmented reality and camera marketing started for us, right at the beginning of our company, because we're a mobile-first, mobile-only company, right? Like we just have an app. So another quick timeline, and this is the last of the history lesson, is a quick timeline of augmented reality as an industry. So this is actually our first augmented reality lens or filter, launched in 2015. If you guys recall, this is 3 years ago. The industry was talking about VR. It was all about VR is the next thing. VR is the next thing. We took a bet in 2015 and started investing in augmented reality instead. We saw that as the opportunity because all of our phones in our pockets are able to do augmented reality. The iPhone has been around for more than 10 years. And from the beginning, the iPhones are able to do augmented reality. So we saw that opportunity in the market 2.5, 3 years ago, and we started investing really early on. And we're really proud to see now that other companies are investing in this too. And if you look at other companies, from the device makers to other technology platforms, they're all really focused on augmented reality and the camera. So we're really happy that we got into this really early and have a head start in this space and have a lot of learnings, and that all together can really push the industry forward. So 3 insights. This is where the sort of presentation is going to go around these 3 main insights. And I'm going to try to sort of make the argument through these 3 insights of why the camera is the next big thing for advertising and for marketing. So number 1. Right, again, number 1. Number 1, smartphones, usage, and penetration, especially for Latin America. So here are some Latin America-specific numbers that I'd like to highlight to you. I really think Latin America is going through a digital revolution thanks to the smartphones. So what the laptops were to the developed world, the smartphones are that for Latin America. In 2012, less than 10% of internet users access it through smartphones. Fast forward to last year, that's over 60% of internet access is done through the smartphone. Today, there's 350 million users accessing the internet on their smartphones in Latin America. That's more than the US, which I was really surprised by. So there's more internet smartphone users in Latin America than in the US, on track to overpass Europe. And then by 2020, the smartphone penetration is expected to be at 71%, which is about 5% higher than the rest of the world. So the smartphones are really crucial to our region. And I'm really proud as a Latino that everybody's using smartphones. It's really bringing a resurgence to our industry and to our culture. And I'm really excited to see all the developments around smartphones in Latin America. We're seeing this resurgence culturally, socially, economically, and even artistically. And we're really passionate, expressive people. So the smartphones are great devices for us. The other insight here is that Latin Americans are more advanced on mobile usage than the rest of the world. So 3 main countries in Latin America, Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, are among the top 10 of time spent on their mobile devices, for better or worse, but we know we're on our phones a lot. Let's go back. And Latin Americans are always on. They're always on their devices. Commonly, a common trend around the world, but specifically in Latin America. Users are on their phone throughout the day, every single day. From the morning when they wake up, through the night of end of work, and through the night. So they're on their phones all the time. And this presents a great opportunity to message them on that device with something that is native to that device and not some shrunken format. So insight number 2, and we'll spend a little more time here because this is really at the center of the entire presentation, and it's about the camera. So the way that we've used the cameras have evolved, right? We see on Snapchat that 60% of our users create content on the camera every day. If you think about other social media, that is almost a sin, right? In other social media, it's almost religion that you should only create or post content once per day, maybe 3 times per week. If you do it too much, it's too annoying. So it's really different on Snapchat, which is centered around the camera, because users are creating content every single day. So 60% of our user base create content on the camera. And the reason why is because you can use the camera for a lot more than just the traditional sense. So if we date back to Polaroids or Kodak cameras, or even the first few iPhones, iPhone 3, we only used the cameras mainly for this purpose, which was to preserve memories. That was the main function of the camera for hundreds of years. It was just about preserving a really special memory. And that's still a great use for the camera. But once they're connected to the internet on our devices, there's a lot more that you can do than just create a memory. So the second most popular use for the camera is talking with friends. It's just an easier way to communicate. I was just talking to somebody before about the cliche of a picture is worth 1,000 words. Very cliche, but very true. Like the time that it takes you to type a text that is 1,000 words, you can literally just with a few seconds take a photo, take a video, and be able to communicate more than 1,000 words in a few seconds. So that function is one of the main functions of the camera today, is as a mode of communication. That's really important. And it doesn't stop there. There's a lot more that we can do with the camera. There's simply self-expression. And this is sort of the artistic side that you can do with the camera. Always been there, right? The camera is always an artist or an output for art. And you see that as well on the mobile phones. So here's just a simple picture of Winwood coffee. And then with stickers and GIFs, we're able to make some sort of more artistic snap or content. Another use is simply to have fun. No other purpose, no need to communicate with anybody, no need to save this, to share it, to post it. It's simply just to have fun on the camera, to share or have an experience on there that makes you have fun and it's entertaining. This is one of our newest features, and it's the ability to be able to animate the world, to be able to detect something in the world. This is also here in Winwood, a very famous graffiti that I would suggest everyone to go check out. And you can pull out Snapchat, point the camera to this graffiti, and it will come to life and it will animate. So really cool feature to be able to make our world just a little more fun, a little more engaging. And most recently, we also launched this feature that allows you to shop through the camera. So using computer vision and image recognition, we're able to scan if there's a product on your camera and then link you directly to that product page on Amazon for you to shop. So there's a lot, again, that we can do with this camera. Like the camera has come a long way, and it's not just about the preserving memories, original use of it, but there's a lot more. And these are just some examples. There's actually tons of other use cases for the camera. And here's where it starts to get interesting for advertisers. Advertisers actually have a very natural place. They have a very natural place in this world. They're actually additive to the experience. Advertisers can take part in this and really enhance the user. It's not an annoying ad format that you want to skip or that you want to like scroll through. It's the user who's deciding here that they want to use this advertising format. They're giving the brand license to put that product or that brand on their face or in their world and share it and create a much more engaging experience. So there's a very natural room here for advertisers to take a part of this experience. It doesn't seem forced and it doesn't seem annoying. It's actually very native to how people are using it already. So it creates a lot of experience. So here are some of my favorite examples, from games to 3D figures to being able to transform into characters and just have fun with advertisers on the camera. And it doesn't stop just there at fun and cool things like this. It can get pretty serious and pretty advanced. So here's one of my favorite examples. It was a first-of-a-kind execution with BMW. So at first glance, this might look like just a photograph of a car, right? You see this and it just looks like a cool car in a sunset, basic, pretty. But it was a lot more than that. So you have your traditional ad, which is what we saw in the beginning. Then the user engages with that ad and gets an immediate trial of the product wherever they are. This is a full 3D model of the car. They're able to interact with it, change colors, move it around, resize it, and they have this immediate connection with the product. Imagine if you were able to do that at home with your TV, if you're seeing a TV commercial, then enable the product right away. Be able to try it and see it right there wherever you are. So it's really powerful experiences that you can create with this. It's not just for silly, funny things. Those are actually really powerful, but it also covers the gamut of serious and really advanced immersive experiences. And then not just with cars, and not just with exteriors of cars. Here's a few other examples. With Ford, you go from the outside of the car all the way to the inside, be able to see the entire feature of the car. And you can try other products too. It's not just cars, it's not just vehicles. You can get product trials in apparel, in beauty, in retail, in CPG, even in food. This Domino's here always gets me. It always makes me crave a pepperoni pizza. It looks really real, and it makes you just want to have a pizza in the moment. So it really covers the whole gamut here of verticals and industries of things that you can do with augmented reality. And lastly, it can also take you places. So here's an example. Telcel in Mexico, you're able to change the background in your selfie as if you were in Russia for the World Cup, and you were able to share that as if you were there. And not just your selfie, but they actually can take you places. So these are sort of our more advanced products. They're called portals. They literally allow you to transport yourself to a new world. This was me at my home, and now I'm in beautiful beaches in Mexico. So they can really take you places, right? It's not just about changing a background, but really transporting you. Here's another example. Hope I don't offend any fans of the other team. But if you wanted to celebrate Saturday's victory, you can go to the Camp Nou directly where you are, transport yourself as if you were there. So, really powerful experiences. These portals, these are just two examples of many, many different types of executions that you can do. So if I didn't lose any of the Madrid fans, we're going to move on to insight number 3. And it's about accessibility. So AR is actually very accessible today, both to the users and to the advertisers. And this is not just Snapchat saying it. It's not just us. It's an industry-wide thing. So eMarketer recently reported that the augmented reality users in the US are expected to double within the next year to up to like 60 million users. And advertising spend on AR globally is expected to increase by 6x over the next 4 years. That's tremendous growth. It's not just us saying this is a next trend or this is a fad or this is something that just lives on Snapchat. It's across the board. People are using it in Snapchat, outside of Snapchat. Advertisers are engaging and jumping on board and doing augmented reality globally. So this is not just a simple trend. This is not just a US thing or a millennial thing. It's really across the board. So from a user standpoint, we've been really focused on building thousands of experiences, teaching users what to do with these, right? There's a lot of education on the user side of like, what do I do when I get one of these experiences? So that funny video in the beginning where we saw people opening their mouth, raising their eyebrows, we all knew what they were doing. They were playing with Snapchat. We've had 3 years of education of teaching users, once you see an augmented reality experience, open your mouth, see what happens. Once you see a door, like those portal experiences that we saw, walk towards it, see what's after that. When you see a 3D figure, grab it, move it, you can rotate it, you can put it in your hand, you can do all these things with it. So we've done a lot of education on the user side to teach them what to do with this. On the flip side, we've also learned a lot from the users on what they want, what they like to see, what works, what doesn't work. So we have tremendous scale on a daily basis. So more than 70 million users engage with AR on Snapchat every single day. They spend more than 3 minutes per day playing with augmented reality on Snapchat, 500 years of playtime every day, 250 million AR pieces shared on a daily basis. Imagine the amount of learnings that we have on a daily basis. This is really unparalleled with other companies that are just starting to do AR. We have tremendous amount of learnings, both on the organic side and on the sponsor side, about what works and what users like to see. And then on the advertising front, what we're preaching and what we're asking marketers and advertisers to do is to think about AR as a format, not just as an objective. It's not a checkbox to just say, I did it and I've completed my innovation goal of the year and I just tried this for the first time. It's really a format that you should be thinking about strategically and that you should be thinking about just like you do a mobile strategy or a social media strategy. You should really be thinking about augmented reality and camera in this strategic way. And the tools are there to do this. So you're able to do a lot of creative things. We saw some examples of a lot of possibilities. Producing these pieces is also much easier today. There's a lot of tools that we've released. There's a lot of tools out in the market. There's a lot of companies that are now able to produce these at a much more cost-effective and time-effective way. And this can serve full funnel. This is not just about brand awareness and upper funnel. There's really come full circle, and you can really start moving down the funnel and drive consideration, drive purchase intent, even e-commerce, user acquisition. So there's a lot that you can do full funnel with this. And there's advanced targeting. So all the targeting that you expect from a typical display or social media ad, you can do that on augmented reality. There's measurement that you can do with it. So you can measure the impact of these pieces with your pixels. You can measure your brand effect through Nielsen or Millward Brown. So there's a lot of measurement here that you can do to prove the effectiveness of these pieces. And then you can buy them programmatically too. So it's not this complex buying process. It's the same way that you're used to buying the rest of your digital media. And you can buy this programmatically on a takeover model, on an audience-based model. You can do reach and frequency. So there's a lot of ease of buying. And all of these things combined allow you to really think about it strategically, and not just as a one-off, not just as a one-time check my innovation box, but really think about how this comes together in your marketing mix. And that's our ask to advertisers. That's our plea. It's how do you add the camera to your marketing mix? It's not supposed to replace social media out of your media plan. It's not supposed to replace TV and traditional. We're not saying it's necessarily better. We're just saying it needs to be part of your plan. It needs to add to it. And all together in this plan, you have a really balanced mix of reach. That's kind of here to the left side. So you have tremendous reach with the traditional products. And then quality on the other side. The camera is really about quality of engagement, quality of impressions. So this would be a really balanced media plan, right? You have your mass reach on one hand, and then you have your quality and your engagement on the other side with the camera. And the other beautiful thing talking about reach is that these things expand beyond Snapchat. It's not just about the reach that you can get on Snapchat. These go well beyond. You can really plan an entire marketing plan around your augmented reality experience and then get reach across the board on other social media platforms, on other messaging services, even on traditional out-of-home and physical. So really the expanded reach here is great. It's not just a thing for the Snapchat reach, but it goes beyond it. And I wanted to share a couple of examples of advertisers in Latin America that are doing this really well to help you sort of inspire and see how augmented reality can go beyond just Snapchat and can actually create impact for your brands. So the first one is in Argentina. Oh, no, I lied. This is just a quick mosaic of a few examples. So different brands and how they're using it. They're creating contests on social media. They're printing it on menus. They're doing out-of-home activations, printing it on products. So a lot of examples here across the board on how you can use, once you have one of these pieces, how you can use it across your media mix. So these are the examples now. So in Argentina, we work with Sonrisas. They put a snap code, which is our QR code product that users can scan and then unlock one of these experiences. They put it on their packaging all across stores all over Argentina. They created this commercial for it. And then, of course, how this translated within Snapchat. So both a 3D character here and then a selfie experience, all tying the campaign together and really having an expanded reach with this experience, right? It's not just on Snapchat, it was across the board on their stores, on TV, and all of their marketing channels. The second one I wanted to show you is Coca-Cola. Love Coca-Cola as a brand, love their advertising, so iconic, right? Especially around Christmas. They have this iconic piece from last year. It's sort of a staple of advertising, Coca-Cola's sort of Christmas advertising. So we were really honored and excited to work on this campaign and translate it to augmented reality. So let's take a look at their TV spot. So the spot was all about different ways to say thank you during Christmas, during the Christmas season. And how this translated to AR. a very natural way of translating this, giving the user the opportunity to be within the message, to customize and really be part of the campaign and not just passively consume it, but really become part of it, create content with it, share it with their friends, their family, their loved ones. It's really powerful. And they didn't stop just there with us. They also released complementary filters and then snap ads to complement the campaign. So they took that 30-second spot, turned it into a 4-second snap ad that was able to communicate the same amount of information in that very short time of period, or in that very short form, the 4 seconds. And then altogether really had impact. It wasn't just a fun little game or a fun little execution. It really impacted their brand. And think about how hard that is for Coca-Cola in Christmas. Think about how hard it is to increase message association of Coca-Cola and Christmas. That's really tough, right? And we were able to accomplish a 10-point increase in message association, and then purchase intent. How crucial, we know how crucial this is for Coca-Cola and for other CPG brands to drive purchase intent with 18 to 24-year-olds, with millennials, that like core strong demographic. And through this type of campaign, they were able to drive a 14-point increase in purchase intent. It really impacts their business, and it doesn't just stay at a fun thing. It was really a complementary strategy that had impact. And there's tons of examples of these. Obviously, because of time, I can only share these couple, but there's tons of these from different verticals in different parts of the world of how companies are doing a whole plan around augmented reality with Snapchat. So to do a quick recap, the 3 insights real quick. First of all, time for camera marketing is now. If you hear that it's the future, it is the future, but it's also the present, right? We have tremendous scale on Snapchat, and you're doing that now. The 3 reasons why we went over today. First of all, smartphone penetration, especially in Latam. The change on how we use cameras, completely different than what we used in the past. Number 3, accessibility. For you and for users, the ability to do this strategically and at scale to expand your reach and not just do it for fun. And for parting words, think about the power of this new format, right? Think about why this is so powerful. This is not just a simple impression. This is a high-value, active impression. The user is putting your product in their face, and then they're sharing it with their friends, their families, their loved ones. That creates a lot of power. And that's what phones are meant to do, right? Going back to the beginning of the presentation, when we thought about the formats, the phones are built to do a lot more than just scroll through and consume content, but it really gives the users the ability to participate in your campaigns. So thank you. As I mentioned in the introduction, happy to take one-on-one questions or talk to you on the side. Would love to meet as much as you as possible. Appreciate your attention and your time, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Max.